I want to turn briefly to Dajjal, the false Messiah. And you are familiar with this subject by now. You've read Jerusalem in the Quran that was written some 20-something years ago. And you know that Allah created him, and Allah programmed him to use computer language. And he is programmed to impersonate the true Messiah. The true Messiah, when he returns, he came and he left and he will return, will rule the world from Jerusalem, from a holy state of Israel. And he will have his ummah with him. And this is what Allah says in the Quran. So others who have a different view, don't listen to them, listen to Allah in the Quran. Allah says about a people who follow the Messiah, Jesus, He says, I'm going to raise them, the followers of Jesus. I don't follow Jesus. No. I follow Muhammad, Allah's blessing be upon them both. But those who follow Jesus, I pray in the direction of the Kaaba. I know there are others who pray in the direction of Washington, but I pray in the direction of the Kaaba. And they pray in the direction of Jerusalem. So we're two different people. I fast in Ramadan, and my fast begins at dawn and ends at sunset, because night commences at sunset. But they have a different law of fasting. They fast from sunset to sunset. I am not allowed, at least in this life, to drink wine. But they can drink wine, they're not prohibited. So we are two different communities. And Allah says that I'm going to raise those who follow Jesus to a position of dominance over those who have rejected him. And who are those who have rejected him? Today, I'm using the word for the first time. They're called Jews or Yahud. That's the definition in the Quran. And today the Jews are in alliance with Zionist Christians. And they are the ones who have given to the world the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, in French, l'OTAN. And that is one of the superpowers in the world, led by the United States of America, in what is known as Pax Americana. So Allah is going to raise a people who follow Jesus to a position of dominance over NATO, And when Allah raised this Christian people to that position of dominance, the Quran is saying that they will remain in that position of dominance until the end of the world. They can teach something else in political science in their universities, but this is absolute truth. So this is the Messiah who is to come. So if a false Messiah is to impersonate him, that false Messiah must also become the ruling state in the world. And that's why the British Army liberated Jerusalem, and then Britain allowed the baby to be born, the state of Israel. And the Western world remained so obsessively attached to Israel, feeding the baby, protecting the baby, arming the baby, until the baby grows into an adult. And the baby is now so strong that an Israeli prime minister could say, "We control the United States of America." Anybody else says that, the Marines will land in your country, but not Israel. And so now we are moving to a stage of history that I have to turn one more time to the Quran to explain before I end. I'll have more to say later on, but this is about building the foundation for tonight, the master plan. In Surah Al-Mursalat of the Quran, Allah speaks of a shadow. What is the definition of a shadow? A shadow is something which is connected with a person or a thing. It is connected with a person or a thing. You can have a shadow of a stick, and you can have the shadow of a person. And Allah says, "In Taliku, proceed. Let history now proceed. In Taliku ila zillin zi salasi shu'ab. Proceed to a shadow comprised of 3 parts." This is ayah mutashabiha. You have to interpret it. Whose shadow it is that is comprised of 3 parts. And Allah has sent this for a people who rejected His signs, rejected the Messiah. And we say the shadow is the shadow of Dajjal, and Allah knows best. And therefore, that the Antichrist has a trademark. His footprints come in 3 parts. And we said it 20-something years ago, that in the first part of the shadow, the world experienced that horror called Pax Britannica. And in the second part of the shadow, the world experienced a greater horror called Pax Americana. Ken is very familiar with that. And now the third part of the shadow is appearing, and it is Pax Judaica. That Israel must flex its muscles. Israel cannot be the ruling state in the world when there are those who are hostile to Israel, living in the midst of Israel and around Israel. And so what explains the conduct of the Israeli government and the Israeli armed forces since last November is they're now attempting to clean up the area within Israel and around Israel. If you want to live in this land, you got to bow down and submit to us and live as our slave. Otherwise, we're going to destroy you and throw you in the desert and drop bombs on you until you learn to submit to us and be our slaves. As we were once the slaves of Pharaoh, you must now be our slaves. This is all I have to say. I've finished my 40 minutes.